I'm Pat Campagnola. I'm the owner and head instructor here at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Springfield, Massachusetts. I grew up in upstate New York, Auburn. It's a small town near Syracuse. I have just one sister. She's 3 years younger than me. I wrestled pretty much my entire life from the time I was 10 years old until all the way through high school. After high school, I went to WPI, so that's what brought me out to the Massachusetts area in the first place. I wrestled there for a couple of years, did so-so, average at best, but I got my degree in civil engineering, and after graduation, my wife and I were looking for someplace warm to move to, so we packed up and moved to Arizona. So I spent almost 9 years in Arizona. I'm a civil engineer by trade, so a project had me out of town for work, and that's how I initially got into jiu-jitsu. But along the journey, kind of right at the same time I started jiu-jitsu, we adopted my son from Ethiopia. So that took us all the way across the world a couple of times. We spent a couple of weeks in Ethiopia going through all the legal process with him and getting to really see the country and experience the people. So he's 6 years old now. He's a staple of our kids' class. And we swore we would never move back to this cold, snowy climate, but then once we had a kid, we really missed being around family. We were all out on our own there and just didn't have a support system. So 3 years ago, we packed up and moved everything back here to the East Coast. So we live in Connecticut now, just over the border in Suffield, and I'm still working for the same company, working on all the same engineering projects with my team in Phoenix, and also teaching jiu-jitsu every night. After graduating college and having wrestled my entire life, I was always missing that one-on-one competitive experience. So I tried every other recreational sport. We played volleyball in a bar league, we played recreational softball. I had to quickly retire from that because I got smashed in the nose with a line drive and had to have plastic surgery to put my face back together. So retired from softball, tried flag football, all that stuff. And the entire time I was always interested in MMA or jiu-jitsu because it looked like wrestling would be useful in it, but just never took that step and made the commitment to go train somewhere. I had stopped in a couple of gyms over the years, took some paperwork, watched, but just never took that extra step to try a class. But I was living out of town on my own for a few months on a work project, and right next to my hotel, I see this big banner that says, MMA, jiu-jitsu, whatever, and just decided to finally pop in the door. And it was just this really small club, and I just started training with them. We did grappling a couple of nights a week, striking the other nights of the week, and didn't really like the striking that much, but the grappling was right up my alley. And the instructor there was he wasn't affiliated with 10th Planet, but he was into the 10th Planet techniques. So we practiced a lot of 10th Planet stuff, and then when I moved back home in Phoenix, I just do a Google search and find out that 10th Planet Phoenix is like 5 miles down the road from my house. So actually the weather was a lot like it is tonight. The first class I went to was a stormy night in Phoenix, and nobody else showed up to class. So it was just me and the instructor, John Boteo, for the class. And we practiced a little bit of technique, and then he just asked if I wanted to roll for the last hour. So I had 2 months of very low level experience and rolled with him for an hour and got choked at least 1,000 times, to the point where the next morning I thought I had strep throat. And then I remembered that he had choked me 1,000 times. But that night I wrote a check and paid for 3 months in advance, and have never looked back. So I was with him for, I think, 4 years, all the way up to purple belt before I moved back here. I've trained with Eddie a handful of times. I've been to a few seminars with him, and I've been out to 10th Planet HQ a few times to train with him. Yeah, I love it. It works well with me, the way I learn. I think everybody learns a little bit different, so different instructors mesh well with different learning styles, but He's a mastermind when it comes to jiu-jitsu, so I have a lot of respect for the way he teaches and what he teaches. So it's just always worked with me from the beginning. I like that he has a personality and that he's a character, and the names and the stories and everything, just I feel like it helps really learn and remember the techniques, other than describing a move as, do that move where your arm's under the leg and your other arm's grabbing the neck over there. Instead, you just give the position a name. I feel like I'm constantly having those aha moments with my training. I feel like in jiu-jitsu, you keep getting to a new level and then you realize everything that you didn't even know that you didn't know. And those are just always happening. Even here training now with my students, it's on a weekly basis, I'm just discovering something that I didn't know or something I hadn't thought about, whether it's in my own jiu-jitsu growth or in my growth as an instructor. I think a series of life events have definitely helped get me where I am now. If we had just stayed out in Arizona, that would have been awesome. I would have just still been training under John at 10th Planet Phoenix and been a student, and everything would have been awesome. But if we didn't make that decision to pack up and move back here, I wouldn't have been forced to go out and carve this space out for myself. So it really put me in a spot where I had to make something happen. Personal goals for myself is to just continue my personal growth and journey in jiu-jitsu. My biggest fear being an instructor is just becoming stagnant and not consistently improving, because I don't have an instructor here every night staying on top of me, teaching me new things, making sure I'm staying on the path of the progression I need to be on. All the pressure is on me to go out and seek the knowledge and bring it back here for myself and share it with my students. So my biggest goal is to just keep working on that upward trend and be able to pass the knowledge along to my students at the same time. I want our school to get to the point where we become a household name with jiu-jitsu around the New England area. There's a lot of really big powerhouses around this, or especially around Western Mass and Connecticut, that have been around for a long time, and they've worked hard and earned the respect that they have. And I understand that we just have this tiny little niche in the market right now, and long term we're just working hard to get recognized at the same level as the big players around here. My goals for my students is to just make sure we have a fun, safe training environment for everyone to come in here and train whenever they want to. We get people from all different backgrounds with all different personal goals. So we get people that they just want to come do a fun activity and get in shape, lose weight, and feel fit again. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have people that really want to be competitive grapplers or competitive MMA fighters. So my job is to support them and provide them the knowledge and the facilities to help them achieve their goals. I owe a huge thank you to my wife, Kate, for not only supporting me, but pushing me on this endeavor. This gym was 3 years in the making, just constant planning, constant setbacks, and I had gotten to the point where I was really feeling low about it, like it was just never gonna happen, and kind of really disappointed and bummed out about all of it. And she was just constantly there supporting, and eventually gave me a kick in the rear that I needed to actually go out and start making some moves and make it happen. So without her support and her push, we wouldn't be here talking right now. If you've ever felt like you're on the fence about you want to try jiu-jitsu, you want to try any martial art, just make that first step and go in and try out a class. Almost any academy, including here, will give you a free trial class to just come in, see what it's all about, and experience it. My personal experience, and from what I hear about a lot of people that walk in here, is that first step to walk in the door that very first night is the hardest move to make. Once you make that first move and you fall in love with it, it's easy to keep showing up. But I've heard about people that will get all the way here in the parking lot and then sit in their car and be nervous about walking through the door. And I've been there, but you have to force yourself out of the comfort zone that first time, take the step in, and the results could be life-changing. You can come check us out here at 10th Planet Springfield. We are at 321 Albany Street And you can find all of our info online at 10thplanetspringfieldma.com. I'm Pat Campagnola at 10th Planet Springfield, and you're watching Hype 5.